What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to PanNerdia, and welcome back to Westworldia.
Westworld!
What? I'm AA Ron.
Raider Pete, hello.
And we're here to break down and review Westworld Season 3. And hey, we're starting off with the first episode. Man, it's been like 2 years or some shit almost.
We waited a long time.
Long time.
We're finally here.
We are enticed about insight. And, well, tonight's episode titled Parce, Domine, after, what was it now, a Catholic, an old, like, Catholic song?
It was like, I don't know if you wrote it down.
Or a hymn? Yeah, I did, yeah.
Go ahead and read it.
Spare, Lord, spare your people.
people.
Yeah. So, interesting. And it could be kind of pertaining to a lot of things this episode.
Oh my god, I was going to say, let's not try to dissect that, because after we finish doing this little breakdown review, that title could go any place.
It really
could. You
could.
could really insert it anywhere.
But I'm already getting the vibe of like this like insight supercomputer we get introduced to later.
Oh, yes.
That is basically like a Skynet. It like knows all. So it's kind of like the forge or the the supercomputer of Westworld in the human world. I don't know. Crazy shit, guys, already. Getting a real good look of humanity in the future of 2058. That is, not only over in somewhere over in China with Bernarnold, to London at one point, to even LA, futuristic LA, where we meet Caleb, played by Aaron Paul this season. So a lot of cool stuff, locations.
The stuff they did for this, everything from the buildings, the scenery, the skylines, the vehicles. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, the vehicles. Like, we saw a little bit of robot action, but we saw a lot of different vehicles, and by far, I would have to say, when we get to it, Dolores on the motorbike. That was...
Her and her virtual assistant she uses to like hack into stuff, which we'll get into as well. Like the hacking, man. Okay, man. Well, let's start off with Miss Badass Biker Hacker Dolores, who's also a murderous robot assassin, because she's going after all of these investors or stockholders or shareholders of
anyone that's connected to Delos in any way.
Yeah, whether they're sub companies like the Insider or something like that. But we start off with this gentleman. What's his name again? Jerry.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of like living out his life, and you kind of see he's already kind of an asshole, and he gets the news that the bloodshed in Westworld, and he's already starting to freak out because I'm sure his money. Well, he gets a little visit. We pay a little visit from Dolores, a.k.a. White. And
we get to see her skinny dip, don't we?
Oh, yeah, she does do a little skinny dip, and very, like, alluring, like, she allures him out there, like, you're like, what is going on? And then...
It looks like there's a cologne commercial going on in my backyard, like...
Totally is. Yeah, and she steps out and proceeds to, do her business, and... We actually saw while he was getting pissed off about Westworld how like the glasses already make you see like projections and stuff. Well,
smart specs. Yeah, you can call them super
pretty
smart
much.
Specs.
Yeah, like what Google Glass always dreamt of being.
And then some.
And then some. But so as she tortures this man and makes him see visions through the glass that she hacked, and also show him all his past stuff.
Yeah, I called it this scene. Scrooge visits the nasty Xmas past. I mean, she was like the ghost of past.
You know how she knew these things? Because she read his book.
Yep.
Remember?
Do you remember, fans? Because we sure do.
Yeah.
So she flipped through in the library. He was one of them. So she knew all the ins and outs and made him...
And she could just download that shit.
And made him re-experience all the places and times that he's abused his past wives.
And killed them
even. And killed them even.
Yeah.
And the current one was even abused and not wanting to
as Dolores basically made him essentially sign over his life, essentially all his earnings and thumbprints and contracts, anything he had going on, so she has access to stuff and has his money and everything she needs to build her robo-army.
Yes.
And, well, then...
Simply put, yes.
Because she even tells him, she goes, I won't hurt you if you don't try to hurt me. Well, then he, of course, grabs a golf club and tries to hurt. He's even bound up and everything. And, well, like Pete says himself, that it's kind of like a little Breaking Bad moment as she kind of steps to the side and he falls in the pool, cracks his head, and kills himself.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in Breaking Bad, the one guy slips on the rug and... Ted, and his neck breaks. But how amazing, though, that the ex-wife comes out. She's like, well, made your life better. And then she leaves, pieces out.
It's pretty cool, man. And it's interesting too because we have to see some more technology there too, as far as that like little tab thing they put in their mouth.
Yes.
I think that is linked to the insight thing as well.
It has to be. At first I thought it's a sleeping pill. Then I saw another character take one. I'm like, oh, well, it's a drug, or that's how drugs are all taken. Mm-hmm. But no, it is. It's definitely some head cheese fucking medicine, that's for sure.
Yeah, to kind of link you to this big system, the ROM, what is it called again? ROM boss or something?
Yeah.
We'll get to that. That's the name of the supercomputer that is at Insight. But essentially what it does, without talking about Riobomb, that's what it is. It essentially plans your life for you because you have so much data collected that it essentially it gives you like this system to follow, and you earn points to have to follow the system and play by the rules, just kind of like we kind of have to do today, but it's more strict, and you're literally in the system. I mean, they track it to the nth degree, but essentially we track to Caleb, and he's the one who kind of starts explaining those things because he's having these phone calls with Francis, his friend.
We live through Caleb's experiences to kind of piece together how the world works in that future world.
He just has a construction job. He's got his robot.
He's basically a construction bot technician. Mm-hmm. He works alongside with and repairs.
Does all the dangerous tasks like climb the edge of the building, tack wire or other things, and sits with him as he eats a sandwich way up in the scaffolding.
Very reminiscent of the 1950s and 40s, building the skyscrapers and whatnot.
Right.
For the first time.
So I guess those construction robots or any kind of helper robot like that, who are obviously not to the degree of like a Dolores Maeve level, which is cool because it kind of shows us that mid ground too, or like that early stage robots and how they might be treated even more differently or almost the same as the Westworld. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be cool to see that dichotomy between like robots and like robots in disguise.
Absolutely. And there's been movies in the past where you see like that progression of trash can robot all the way up to like sentient droid, and all the things in between. So we will see the in-betweens for sure.
But we find out too that like those things that they take, it's considered an implant, because as he's talking to Francis on the phone, he's even asking him, he's like, you're getting your implant turned back on, and this conversation is kind of melding in with like how Caleb's mother's passing away, and he's doing these odd jobs past his construction job, which is really cool. It's like an app where you can essentially get criminal jobs.
Rico, the app.
Which we were wondering what it stood for. Peter said reconnaissance or something like that, which just makes perfect sense. But it's like you can select the degree of what kind of crime you want to do.
Yeah, and Caleb would never pick personal. Because that meant, it would always be like taking package from the first carrier to the next carrier,
like real heavy shit.
Or just drop off point kind of things,
But he decides to take one, and it kind of shows us a little bit. He ends up running in to do the job with other criminals. I guess you can team up with others to get the job done. Who are played by we got Marshawn Lynch and who's the other person? Leon Waithe. Marshawn Lynch. He was cool.
Marshawn Lynch. Oh my God! When I saw him in the previews trailers, I'm like, "That's not him. That can't be." I mean, it sure enough is. And boy, is he a character in real life, and he actually got into character for this. The shirt he wore.
Oh yeah, that was tight.
Which we thought, oh look, that must be his mood. It really was.
Yeah.
Because when he went from amused to anger, it changed. Everyone's gonna want that shirt.
And he's taking some drug they call it the drip. The character Ash, played by Lena Waithe, he's like, he's on the drip. Yeah. Make sure you tell him he's good. He's like, I am not good right now.
I am not good at all. He goes, I am definitely not good. That's what he said.
As he's smiling.
Yeah, so they probably told him, like, hey, just act like you're like blitzed high out of your mind. He's like, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Did a good job.
Yeah, they did, and they got the job done, in fact, and real smooth too. And they're in and out of this ATM robbery, it seemed like. Played a smooth boom. They're like, hey, I'll catch you at the next job kind of thing.
The picture of them where they're like just up against the wall waiting for the ATM to blow or whatever, it's a classic.
That was really cool. And man, I mean, the app worked. They used other cool futuristic devices to help them get the job done, and it was a cool little scene. It showed you I love how they're showing these other little futuristic aspects. It's not too far into the future. It's like 30-some years, right? 38 years into the future.
They're really on pace for all kinds of stuff. I mean, think about it. Cowboy Bebop was 2071.
Yeah.
So this is not too far off from there. And
yeah,
so,
like 13 years from this point in the thing. But as we continue, we finally kind of get a peep of the Charlotte Halebot 2.0, because we really don't know what's going on in that dome. What Pearl is bubbling in the cortical fluid.
Yeah, that's true. When Charlotte was at that board meeting, after our buddy Jerry got off to the pool, but that must have been Dolores. Is it possible for her to pass her Pearl orb from body to body? Or do you think at that point she's already found another Pearl that was reprogrammed or trained to be Tessa? Because that was just a...
Well, yeah, remember Tessa Thompson, the actress playing Charlotte Hale. That's a different. I think that's her. She's already planted her in there.
So it's got to be a female or male character from the previous season, and if it's not,
because in the preview she's even like,
if it's not Angela, that was her like right hand man besides Teddy.
I think it's either Angela, Clementine,
or Emily.
Emily. Which one's Emily? Oh, the daughter. So
William's daughter.
Perhaps it could be that. But regardless, it's one of her helpers. It could even possibly be Teddy. Some iteration of him even. But I'm hoping that he just got sent away to the Sublime like he was supposed to.
Right.
But who knows, right? This show can do anything. But regardless, she's playing a pretty good Hale because she's still that takes no shit, runs the game, bad boss lady, and she's at this board meeting just cutting balls off, and the shareholder meeting, and they're talking about how the amount of deaths that happened at the Westworld massacre, 113 human deaths, really crazy, and they're actually ended up blaming it all on Bernard. Now, she didn't end up saying that Bernard Lowe, the android, she said Bernard Lowe as the human, and he's the one who orchestrated this whole massacre, one human behind it all, and blaming on that versus this sentient uprise, which is interesting, but also obviously to play their cards right. They don't want them to know that they're secretly going to destroy all the humans. But it was a perfect transition because then we get the nice Bernard reunion.
Old Bernard had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Oh, yeah.
Working on a futuristic beef factory farm.
Over in China.
In China near giant fucking nuclear fucking silos.
Yeah, like 5 stacks all next to each other, next to cows. They probably have they get those like third cow arms every once in a while.
The way they were like slicing it open, slicing meat off of like a piece of metal was interesting.
Yeah, maybe they have new methods,
technology to
harvesting methods.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's basically there laying low because he's a criminal on the run.
Bernard Lowe.
Laying
low.
That was a good one. I didn't even notice that. Right on, bro. Fucking sweet.
But what was his name though? His fake name?
Oh yeah, like Armand or something.
Armand,
and then his last name I forget something. But yeah, that was his fake name. So you see him doing his daily.
But it's not just a fake name. He programmed himself to have a remote control to connect with
he's doing
Bernard
trials on
back
himself.
and forth.
Well, that's the thing. I think Armand. That's the thing. I think that is still Bernard, the one controlling, and then the one that does all like the, robotics is just his eternal android self that he's figured he could control. Like he's so sentient enough. He's like, I'm just gonna give myself a fake name. I'm still Bernard.
But if he decides to put himself in attack mode, he's got a timer. So like after the attack mode is finished,
he's got a command to put in.
He definitely is programmed to press the little
and go back.
garage controller.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah, it's totally like
go back to
a fob.
Yeah, I love everyone. Peace and love, Bernard.
He's his own creator. Almost. Well, he's not because Dolores did it, but in a degree, it's kind of like how we were saying. It's like a Dr. Gero Android's remote, but it's like he's all in one person. He's Dr. Gero and the androids.
But as fans, we're waiting to see that thing get stepped on and crushed. It's like, nope, you're going to stay like...
And he's stuck in Berserk mode.
Right. or some mode. Yeah, but Berserk mode would definitely take the cake.
Because he's definitely got that even look right now. He's got his shaved head and big old beard, so he's ready to kick ass, take names, which he does do in this episode a few times. but enough to where he's got to skedaddle from where he's at and actually end up, and we'll just jump to it now. We'll mention it again here in a minute, a little bit, but he ends up leaving mainland China and heading to Westworld.
Yeah, because when he gets discovered, it's been 92 days since, so that he was wondering if Dolores has made any sort of connection in any sort of mainframe anywhere, because he's worried about what she's going to do, and he can't do anything alone.
He basically hacks it to himself to find these things out, asks himself questions. Has Dolores contacted us at all? Are you lying? And he asks himself if he's lying to himself.
That's
which is really interesting, too.
I guess just direct command, you kind of have to.
Yeah, he's like, are you lying to me?
Things,
Yeah, it's weird,
But, after being incognito, he jumps on the fishing boat. He's like, take me to Westworld.
And I guess the dude was kind of apprehensive, but it looked like Bernardo gave him a fat wad, so...
Fat wad, and showed him the map, so we know it's in the China Sea somewhere, this giant island that's topographed as Westworld.
But yes, your head might be cut off a little bit in the video as we're going with the pictures. There you go. I just looked up. We were getting pretty comfortable as we were going there.
In times of the 19 when we shouldn't be, so shoulder to shoulder.
Yes. But anywho,
come prepared.
Yes, with the biotics. This is one of those interesting. I want to mention this too, because it just reminded me of that. You guys seen the trailers, the little, the small trailer teasers they showed throughout the year to get ready for this, where it's like showing the anomalies on this like little like digital black and white chart where it seems almost like it looks like a virus. Speaking of virus, and it like pricks and sparks up when there's an anomaly, and they show like a timeline this year it did this, and then the commercial we saw that it was like it started with
Westworld Massacre was a big spike, right?
Yeah, that was a big one. It started all the way back to when Trump got elected. That's when they put on there. But that's kind of like that's a spike now. But anyway,
kudos to HBO.
They did that for the preview, but they do that in the episode too. And I wonder if they're going to do that kind of throughout the season, because they started off the episode with something like that, saying the anomaly, which is the Westworld Massacre. Then they did it again, talking about when Dolores was in London, killing people, and how she jumped on board with Liam Dempsey, which we'll meet here in a second, and headed back to L.A. And, that's where we're at. We're Dolores in London, walking, being all badass with her transforming dress, which was cool, totally futuristic.
She's already seduced this Liam Gallagher Jr. fella.
Yeah, Liam
or John
Dempsey.
Gallagher Jr. is Liam
Dempsey, who is the son of the first Dempsey, who was the original owner of the Insight company, and the guy who made the original code for the what was it called again? Riem Boss.
Reno Balm. It's like Reno Balm.
Reno Balm.
Yeah. Go to Reno for your hair balm.
Yeah, go to Reno for your balm. So essentially, though, I guess his father died, and now he's co-running it with the other partner named Connells, played by Tommy Flanagan, who I almost wonder if Connells is related, and I'm just jumping the gun because he's got a Scottish accent,
right?
But to one of the Delos, or the Delos in general. But
he is a real Scottish person, the Scottish actor.
Yes, he's a real Scottish. Well, I think so was the dad.
Yeah.
The father was a real Scottish actor too. Yeah.
But it's interesting though. But whatever.
But it's very interesting because we start learning about Insight and how Lara, aka Dolores, because that's what she calls herself to Liam, is definitely even more in disguise, trying to get in good because she knows something's up with this Insight company. And of course, it's a lot of the shareholders with Delos and Westworld also had contact with this stuff. So she's making all these points, and she's trying to figure this shit out. And she's trying to get in with Liam. Connells actually noticed this and is not really too keen on it. But we get more into that later because, she does kind of... actually, Liam's the one that convinces her to go to LA, even though I think she was pretty much fucking ready to go anyway.
Yeah, sure. She's just playing the part. She seduced him. She wants to get from point A to point B. She's trying to figure out who's the big decision maker, because every time this Connells guy says, you got to go and leave and have another meeting, and again, finally the meeting had to take place, overseas or whatever, and next thing you know, she's listening in with the smart glasses.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out that this kid, he's not in control of anything.
Right.
He just has access to the surface, basically.
Yep, because in fact Connells is the one who has the he's really the one running the show now.
Head of security, kind of like the McDonald's scheme right now.
They even get a little meta in one scene when Dolores kind of starts mentioning about when one guy's talking about simulations and I forget the exact thing that she gets so meta on, but it's almost like she mentions the fact that, you know, it's kind of like a simulation in a simulation, hence this future world that they're in could really just be another park.
You mean like when the guy that talked and sounded like Sizemore was at the cocktail rooftop party and starts saying like, what if we're in a simulation of a simulation?
They got meta there for the fans' sake, like, yeah, we're
and Dolores is like, inside she's like, you have no idea. You don't know about the cradle, you don't know about the forge, you don't know about the freaking door.
Right. Door. So we then come back to Caleb. He's actually at a therapy meeting. We kind of get a little bit of Parce. He could be in some kind of military or militia background. Definitely was with weapons. That's where he knew Francis. This all could just really be his cornerstone. We don't know. If he's a robot, but he's not. But he could be. Anyway, Cal, aka Caleb, also is still kind of in this, they're doing this cut where he's still talking to Francis as well. We find out later, and we'll just mention it now, that Francis, actually the one Francis he's been talking to, is all part of this prescription/subscription.
Correct.
To a robot ghost phone call.
To help him cope with the trauma of his past, yes.
So it's pretty interesting to do that. So I'm assuming that therapist probably prescribed it.
But just to throw this in, because this happened a little bit before that, I think was the fact that his mother was in the hospital. Caleb's mother.
Yeah.
And did we already cover that? Sorry.
We mentioned it earlier.
But this is another thing he's dealing with besides his own trauma of the past and like not having the path he wants to take because he's trying to apply to do things in a different industry, but it's not happening.
Right.
And his mom was like, "You're not my son." That's the only line the woman said was she didn't recognize him from shit, or she just knew it wasn't him.
Right.
It is Westworld. So
you might have to set up a little bit again. A little bit nice. So it's already kind of messing with our mind. Even though they're staying pretty linear in terms of time, they're still messing with our minds in terms of like just what Caleb's got going on in his own damn head. Even from the fact that he goes back to thinking about this militia-esque kind of past to the things he says later in the episode to certain individuals. But he gets, he takes another job out of angst, I'm assuming, and ends up being going to some weird future art party to get some drugs essentially and make a delivery. So
it was like a rave in slow motion.
Yeah.
How else to put it?
Yeah, but very art had like art setups, installations, like models with their dicks out. And it was really fucked up.
It kind of reminded me of the first episode of Cowboy Bebop. Walk through the nightclub, people shooting drugs in their eyes and everything else. Right? It's like really, really futuristic drug taking.
Yes.
The whole show. Including the beta limbic shots of 50 cc's in the neck again and again and again.
Which I guess that's what that guy ended up. That's what that guy was on. He was freaking out. Even to the point where we actually got to see the Giggles, aka Marshawn Lynch, his shirt change from whatever it was to anger.
Yes.
Or angry or whatever it said. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, the drugged out rich chump punched him, and he's like, and it's anger.
Yeah. So he's got the drugs now. He's good to go. But we're getting this is where we get that LA stuff where Dolores is there and she finds out about the Reno bomb for the first time. This big orb with all these like red lights and window things on it. And that's the big computer.
Very reminiscent to the Cradle.
Yes.
When we first walked into the Cradle.
But it's like for actual humans, which is interesting because the Cradle is for humans too, right? It's like that's why I think like Delos and Insight are very similar because we got the Cradle, the human. No, okay, so wait.
There was the Cradle and the Forge.
Cradle, the Forge was the human one. The Cradle was for the the androids.
The
But
androids,
the Forge
yeah.
was for the humans, which this is kind of like a Forge in a way, because the Forge was collecting human data in the park. This is collecting human data outside the park. So it's like different.
And we know they've been collecting data outside the park while Westworld was going on because the Reno bomb was explained. It was 15 years to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that our boy Bernard there has only been 90-something days out, right?
Yep.
Of being incognito or whatnot. So this has been going on. They're going deeper than we've ever imagined.
Yeah, and it's so cool because that's how we're finding out what all the connections to Westworld and all the outside influences of it as well. More so than just the initial Ford creation to the Delos investment and so on. But this is when we get that meeting that Liam steps off and Dolores ends up spying on it. Even tells one of the waiters to fuck off, which was totally awesome. I laughed out loud at. And that's when she kind of listens in and learns, all using her virtual assistant, which is really fucking cool too. Because she also she tracked down the dude on the bike. That's when she called in the virtual assistant, got the bike, stole the bike essentially, and followed Liam over to his meeting. Which
What a sweet
cool.
futuristic bike.
Yeah, what a great futuristic bike view.
Oh my gosh.
I might have to view that again later.
Yeah, Dolores. Stunt woman for Dolores as well. Appreciate you both.
So back at the meat factory over in mainland China with Bernard, aka Armand, aka Arnold. I like all the AKAs I'm doing this episode. I have to because everybody's got so many different aliases, man. Literally, if you have not watched this show, why the F are you watching this review?
What?
There's a little meta for you because you gotta have watched the first 2 seasons to know what the F's going on at this point. There's too many flip-flops, okay? But speaking of flip-flops and aliases and different names, just like Gene and Better Call Saul, which we'll have that review next, we have Armand running away from the law, and he's Bernard, and these dudes find out who he is working at the meat factory, and they're like, oh, we know you're running away, homie. And he's just like, fuck. He's like, well, don't hurt him too bad.
Yeah,
Flips the
garage door
switch.
clicker.
I gotta open the garage door, unleash the beast.
Mm-hmm.
So totally takes those dudes out. It was great. That's pretty much what had to get him out of there, and I had the Westworld. But it was a great scene. It was cool, action packed. I loved that whole remote thing. We've already explained it. You guys already know that we love it. But hey, we're just going down our notes here, okay? Shit, we're in a loop. We gotta follow it.
Well, let's follow the loop. What the main thing here is that last Rico job that was taken by our boy Caleb led him to the big finale of Dolores being discovered by
Connells.
Connells.
Yep.
And then yet little did Connells know that, not only can she not get drugged and she takes out everybody, which I'll let you get into detail of how she took out everybody.
Oh, it was great.
But what was the grand reveal once Connells was offed? That's the big reveal.
Yeah. That she had another Connells ready to go.
What?
On deck. Built and has a pearl shoved in his head already.
And whose
Floating
pearl we
cortical
don't
fluid.
know. Stay tuned.
Right, yeah. It's like, what the fuck,
Could it be Man in Black? Could it be another?
So she had
Who
this
knows?
plan so much so that she knew that Liam was heading back to LA. She already conducted her business in the UK. She's heading to LA
She
now.
confirmed that he really was just didn't have access.
Yeah,
The real
she knew
person
she
in
had to get
charge
access.
was someone that she still couldn't get from Liam. But before
She got a name, though.
before
from,
Connells was replaced with Robot Connells.
Sirach was the name drop.
Sirach.
Which, if you guys know from the previews, Sirach is the individual who's tasked Maeve to find and kill Dolores.
And in order to get Maeve, he's going to have people smell what the Sirach is cooking. Oh.
God, Jesus
I
Christ.
quit later.
But, so it was so cool how they got brought together, Caleb and Dolores, that is. Caleb's doing his Rico mission. He's got the drugs. Well, once he arrives with the drugs... Oh, yeah, and this is after, Liam was about to divulge all the information to Dolores because she was kind of asking him to, I can help you and do this. And that's when, Connell steps in and shocks her, knocks her out, flies in, gets the drugs from Caleb there, Cal, and he's like, whoa, there's this chick in there. He's like, I don't do personals, which is the kind of crimes that are the real sketchy ones, right? And he's kind of like, well, what does it matter to you? And this is where we get another interesting kind of tidbit on Caleb. He gets a gun pointed to him, and he's like, do you think this is the first time I've had one pointed to me? And he's like, well, it's the first time you got shot in the head. And he's like,
it's not the first time for that either.
So,
right.
Makes you question about, of course, it throws up that Android thing. I think they know people are going to think that he might be an Android, so they're going to be playing with us a lot like that.
But being an Android and being told, well, you were shot in the head, so you have amnesia, and your mom doesn't recognize you just because she's got, Alzheimer's or whatever she might have.
Exactly. Like, he might have amnesia from his militia thing, but still,
Lots of light bulbs going off.
But also could be a lot of red herrings for red herring purposes. Regardless, he's like, whatever, and he shoves off. Connells has the freaking bionics, whatever the fuck they're called, drugs. Limtronics or whatever they're called. Beta limbics. And injects her with like 3. And obviously she's still breathing because it's Dolores. She was probably not even out the whole time. She was just acting like it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that she was waiting for that perfect time. Yeah, because she had the ghost car with Robo-Connells in it, and we didn't know it was Robo-Connells in there yet. When it was like pulled up, he's like, "What the fuck's this?"
Right.
Such a great scene, and then the orchestra or the opera music plays, and she freaking switchblade stabs the dudes and shoots him in the head and steps outside.
Precision killings that we got to view through the front window of the vehicle as well as the rear view camera of the vehicle.
And she ran him over, double ran him over.
She even whistled for her robot motorcycle to take out the last guy.
She had a motorcycle kill, bro. An autonomous robo motorcycle kill. Like, get all this futuristic shit is
torpedoed through that guy.
This episode really let us know, like, this is the future. This is 2058.
It was not.
This is Future World. Yeah. This is another park. I'm just kidding. They didn't let us know about that, but you never know. It could be.
Or it's a simulation within a simulation.
Because that was something that was in the original Westworld films and failed series back in the 70s and early 80s. There was a future world. And we'll get into more parks here in a minute. But ultimately, before Caleb hears the gunshots, he's having his final talk with Francis, and as he unsubscribes from the treatment, and that's when we kind of find it all out. He hears the trouble in the distance and starts heading back that way. Well, after Dolores takes everybody out pretty much, reveals the Robo-Connell after killing the old Connells. Whoever's in there, who fucking knows. But we'll find it out soon, I'm assuming. They got this new plan to keep moving forward, but I guess that's when she sends Connells on his way, and she stumbles through the tunnel to run into, Caleb. And it ends just like the preview showed. I kind of had a hunch that's how the episode was going to end, but she falls into Caleb's arms just like she fell into William's.
And the real question is this the first time they've met, or is this a reoccurring loop?
Yeah, is this like her...
I mean, you have to think that way being a Westworld fan.
Think about it, if she's
especially
traveling...
waiting 2 years for
Dude, if she's traveling the world to fucking find all these individuals who are still part of Delos, Insight, investors, all this, take them out and get her ends, she might have to put in like certain proxies in certain locations. Like in LA, she has Caleb, so when she comes back, she can fall into this loop where she has a safe, like a...
She's got to have her hands-on network, not her just hack-in network, right?
Right. Which, again, the hacking was fucking great.
Oh, yes.
I love that shit. But yeah, man, so crazy, man. But ultimately, she's got to find out where Sirach is because she learns about him and from Connells, and that's the man in control of the Reno bomb. But Dolores being so badass, it's pretty great. Episode's not over yet. We get another Bernardold. That's when he's heading to Westworld. What will he find there? Who knows? Why is he going back? Who knows?
Because of Stubbs. He's got to meet up with there's one other person.
Chubbs.
That's right. They're going to be like
his bub.
Crockett and Stubbs. Miami Vice only.
And that is the episode. What? Post-credit scenes?
Of course, we thought, it's just previews for next week, but no, it's kind of both.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's preview next week-ish, because it's showing us what next week's gonna entail, and that's Maeve, because we were both like, Maeve's in this episode, I guess. She was. She's considered in first episode now.
They squeezed her in good old Nazi world, whatever you want to call it, World War II world, whatever. Now you're really confusing people.
World War II world.
Yeah, right. It's like Westworld, World War III. No, World War II in West World 3.
Yeah, is it gonna be called like Reich World or Blitzkrieg?
But it did definitely
world?
look like it was like either like Italy, Spain, or Greece. So it looked like a Mediterranean kind of.
Yeah, because they had like the mountains in the back.
Seaside mountain, edge beach there. So,
How long is she going to be there? Who knows? But we do know she's going to end up meeting Serac soon enough with his mission for her to destroy Dolores. So
lots of predictions there with how he became to be and how how much power he has. Obviously, the most of anybody.
I guess so.
But not too much power. If he needs to get Maeve to help him out, then he can't do it on his own.
Right,
so he can't do it.
And we never knew about him from the previous seasons. Obviously, the writers didn't know about him yet. But in terms of somebody who can be more powerful than Ford or Delos to run into and manipulate Westworld, it's different. But the thing is, at least in the previews, he does say to Maeve that he has been waiting for Dolores, Maeve, and Bernard to. I don't think he said awake, but to come back or something like that. So, played by Vincent Cassel, Serac.
Yeah. He's a Frenchman that he's always played like a bad guy or the adversary or something. And what was he? Ocean's not 13 or
13,
something
I think.
like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's a perfect role for this.
Fox, sort of, right?
So I'm pretty curious to how this is going to play out. And he's, I guess, like the head of this Skynet-esque Reno bomb, and I wonder how that's going to play in with the whole human aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if this comes back to like a whole, like if this is a world in a world, a simulation in a simulation, see the meta there. That's where, I don't know, it could all just be a big mind F. Either way, guys, we're here on the ride.
Worlds within worlds.
Westworldia Season 3, which is only going to have 8 episodes this season, not the 10 as usual. But hey, I guess they thought 8 was enough to show what they needed to show.
Maybe it's symbolic because 8 is infinity.
Who knows, guys? Well, they said they could tell the story in 5 seasons, so I'm still thinking 2 more after this. But hey, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good ride. It's going to be full of mystery and intrigue and shock.
What's
and
a park?
awesome
what isn't a park? How many parks are we
and-
going to see?
Yeah,
I mean, so far in this one episode, we saw 3 parks because it goes back to Westworld for a brief moment, or he's on his way to it. Maybe not.
It didn't
it's
show
the
up, but
preview, I
it's
guess.
mentioned.
Yeah, it's the preview.
Though, regardless,
And then the World War II world.
Yeah,
and
then
of
the
course
real
this
world.
future/real world.
Could it be? Who knows? But hey, let us know down in the comments, guys, what you think, your predictions, anything you want to discuss, anything you think we should improve on. Otherwise, we'll see you guys here next week for more Westworldia, the Westworld Season 3 breakdown review show here on PanNerdia. I am AA Ron.
And I am Raider Pete, Westworld.
And we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Later.